we began, but we were talking abstractly a while ago about the identity of the band, discovering the identity of the band, using the metaphor of running and getting the right pace and getting into one stride and keeping on running in the same direction so as to evolve. And this relates to the questions the more philosophical questions to do with identity that we were raising before as well. And when we were talking about that, it made me think of some lyrics in Temporarily Confused. In particular, so fate and coincidence could be one and the same. It's almost, I was rethinking what the band is doing in relation to that lyric, as it's almost as if the band, self-evident, has always been or had the capacity to be self-evident as it is, or as it is becoming. It's always in a state of becoming. And coincidentally, perhaps, you reinvent yourself or it transforms into this new thing. But if you're really paying attention to what it is, what the identity of the band is or could be, then that's a concrete way in which fate and coincidence could be one and the same. Is that something that you were thinking about? That seems to kind of ring true. I think we're more comfortable talking about these abstract questions through concretely imagining what the band is doing, for example.
I mean, the lyrics don't necessarily always pertain to or describe like the state of the band.
No, of course not.
You know what I mean? Like, I mean, sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes, but you guys, this is a weird thing for the three of us because I have ideas.
There's one lyricist.
Yeah, I have ideas about what I think.
Yeah.
And I have life experiences. Everybody has life experiences, and we don't sit and hash this out.
Yeah.
Like I don't say, okay, God, like they just.
This is what the lyrics mean.
And even the transformation of song into video, you don't hash out exactly.
We're just like the fans, where it's like I listen to the lyrics and I interpret it the way that I hear it. Like same with you.
Absolutely.
Like anybody else. Like,
but we don't.
Because Conrad's not like this is what this means.
Yeah, we got to sit down and have a round table.
Right.
Like,
but we don't have input on the lyrics.
You can.
Well, no, I mean, no.
As of this is the day. This is
we don't.
As of today.
We don't. We trust the lyrics.
Yeah.
There's sometimes where like a vocal approach or something that you and I might talk about or change or
and I appreciate that.
Like, don't use that word. Or whatever,
but it's never like with the lyrics itself. It's like ooh, what does that mean? Or like I don't know if you should be saying that.
But I've always been a fan. Before I was a member of the band.
Yeah.
So,
when you were in Claire de Lune.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was always listening and interpreting the lyrics on my own, and I continued to do
even
that.
before you were transforming that into videos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, so it's just what I continue to do. So I listen to lyrics. I'm interested in the lyrics. And I don't necessarily even talk to Conrad about it, even though I could be that fanboy that's like
the fanboy in the band.
What are you talking about with that? But I don't, But
I mean,
because I prefer to interpret it on my own,
make it your own.
Like it with any band that I listen to, any lyricist,
and all the more so as part of the band as well.
What's that?
All the more so as a member of the band.
Yeah.
To take ownership of it and then to translate that. I like that the way it was really interesting hearing you talking about the videos and how you kind of take ownership of the concepts, and there's a clear relation between the songs. We started talking about the videos because I highlighted the past and the present and the future in the wrong order in the album, and then that comes through in terms of the chronology of the video too. But you're not being directed by Conrad. You're recognizing that and doing it in your own way.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah. No, the whole fate and coincidence thing is just, and I don't want to get into any
too
spirituality
cerebral.
or religion or anything, but coincidence happens so often.
Yeah.
I mean, so crazily often. It's the whole predestination. Nature nurture. There's just so many different things that play into that, but it's just coincidences happen so often that it's starts to make me wonder, well, what is going on and what is fated and what is, it just...
There are moments...
Yeah, I don't have, serious, I'm trying to say this, smartly, but...
It's not like a mystical belief. You're not the mystic that thinks this is how reality is structured. But especially given that, let's assume we're not mystics, we don't think that things are destined to be. There are moments when suddenly things seem to be.
Yeah.
And, a couple of moments like that happened
to me. By the way, I
recently.
just spat out the words nature, nurture. That has nothing to do with what I was talking about.
Sure.
But I was more like predestination versus free will
Absolutely.
kind of thing. That type of thing.
Yeah.
Where it's like, times arrow or whatever's going on.
Something happens that seems too neat, and you think,
it's like that. Are you really that's how that all lined up like that? Like
Right.
just the way
Yeah.
like. So
Sure.
Well, and how it relates to our like weird menial normal lives too.
yeah.
Like our like day to
I think
day.
people are really good at that kind of thing though, like taking like the abstract and making it seem significant to their own personal, lives.
Yeah. Well,
and then there are
of
some
course,
moments when it
that's
really
the whole
does.
thing. Like
seem
every song on the
so
radio speaks directly to you.
Yeah. Right.
Like, of
That's
course.
what we humans generally
Yeah.
do. But even when we're most
Hence the
skeptical
deities.
about it, and we know that reality isn't like that,
Right.
it's the moments where you get caught out and think, "Hang on, it feels like I'm in a movie,"
Yeah.
or it feels like,
Right.
this couldn't have been written better, or it couldn't have been written worse. Like
Right.
the irony of this moment
Mhm.
is stranger than fiction.
Mhm.
Right.
I had a moment like that recently, and it's
Yeah.
odd. And you think all of my skeptical beliefs
Yeah.
seems to be wanting to go out the window right now.
Yeah. It's just it's fun stuff to think about. It's
Yeah.
part of being a human being.
Yeah.
But then I
yeah.
think to stop from it becoming a philosophical dialogue or debate as opposed to talking about a song or talking about music, then I think that gets reenacted in the song in a way, because although the song's called Temporary Confused and the lyrics have just been about being confused, then at the end we have
How can the dead be truly dead?
Yep.
Yeah.
And that
they still live in the souls of those who were left behind. So we have a question and we have an assertion, and it seems very confident.
I just wanted to specifically mention that is one lyric in
Yeah.
our entire career
Right.
or existence
Yeah.
that I borrowed from a novel.
So which novel and why?
It's called The Heart is a Lonely Hunter by Carson McCullers, written
Okay.
in 1939, 1940.
How did that work its way in?
I read a lot.
Yeah.
And it was one
Evidently.
thing that like seemed to fit the cadence of the song and just struck me. I mean, I think it's a pretty powerful line, and
me too.
I wish I'd written it. It's just a
And
beautiful
people-
line, and people
people-
respond to
yeah,
it.
they-
Yeah.
I've had people say, I have a family member who passed, or I have this, and like I was going through something like that. I think
Yeah.
when we wrote that song, or I had gone,
You didn't write the line, but you did appropriate the
I-
line and do something very effective, like affective with it. And it's interesting.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Yeah. So the repetition there is very important, I think. We have the question, then we have. It seems to be the most self-confident moment in a band, which is like.
and the one lyric I didn't write.
Yeah, and that's what's interesting, I think. that often, it's the ideas that don't originate.
And that's interesting because like when that moment happens live, like I'm always like, how can like
I think that means it
I'm
works.
screaming
I think
out,
that means it
you know?
works.
Well,
Especially
a
because you
lot of-
brace yourself with the chanting. The chanting
And a lot
has
of
prepared
people
you.
in the audience are doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting being. I mean, I think it's happening more and more in this band is like people out in the audience are singing along and they know the lyrics, and it's like I've never been really a lyrical guy. I mean, I think I could recite a lot of them, but it's just really interesting, like that people take so much from. Well, I think you're pretty modest about it, but I think it's pretty cool.
It's always interesting when people, and it's not like when people approach me. No, but I've had people say, like on endings, like I remember we played Cause, around the time that the record came out, and somebody said, well, why don't you print the lyrics? Like I just kind of want to know, and it's like I'm always second guessing and standoffish, and I don't know, like but like so that's why when we printed the vinyl, I thought that would be one more fun thing for fans who want to have it on vinyl. It'll be one more thing that's included there.
Yeah.
Like we got the lyrics.
Otherwise, I'd have to photocopy these.
Yeah. Can we?
Be
oh man.
at the show.
We should stuff that. Man, we should.
But
you have a
like,
copier.
But you need to know that it was done begrudgingly.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, don't, I'm not trying to be like, oh, I write these great, whatever. I just.
Is it modesty, or is it? I mean, I can tell that there is modesty, but is it just modesty? Is there also a sense of wanting there to be some uncertainty about what the lyrics are?
Sure. Or,
So people can think it's saying Steve.
I don't know. I mean, I can't speak for you, but I think there's a lot of like really personal.
Yeah, there
parts
is.
Of it.
Yeah.
For sure there is. For sure there is, and we don't even talk about it. And,
Right, but I mean, it's a very personal thing. It's not like playing a guitar, or
it's
playing
tricky.
drums.
It's tricky.
It's like this is a representation of him on some level.
Absolutely.
I feel that way though, like about playing drums. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Every single note.
But when it comes into like a language, when language is involved, and I'm saying things,
Yeah.
like those are words that
it's
have
like
meanings that can be interpreted different ways.
It's like he said earlier with bands that don't have lyrics, like instrumental bands, like the names of their songs, like
Don Cab.
Yeah, how do you come up? I mean, it doesn't. How does that really pertain to the song?
How does it apply?
But it's really hard. Like, how do you write it? How do you decide this is the name of this song when there are no lyrics, when there's no there's no verbal representation of the song.
It's interesting, the two different components, because you were talking about it seemed like you were saying that you would have a similar kind of modesty or shyness, I don't know if they're the right words, about like notating exactly what the drum parts were. So there's that, because then it's like there for someone to inspect. But then also, if it's language, like it's, it's more, there's more fragility, I suppose, because there's an extra, it's not just like, this is exactly what I said, but also, people are going to read into it, which I'm about to. So.
I also think there's more vagueness to language though. Like if you're just playing a part, and it
is what it is.
This is the note I hit. This is the
tone I had.
The tone I had. Like with there's not as much interpretation.
You can't talk about like sense versus meaning, like connotation, denotation.
Right. Like what did he mean by that scenario?
Dude, you fucking meant it though.
Like can't do that. Like is that
especially when all those hits.
Especially when he pops his head up like.
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah, what does that mean?
That means something.
Yeah, like there's just not as much interpretation.
So, as we near the end of our interview, I'd like to focus on the ending of endings.
Mm-hmm.
The final 4 or 5 songs. So we have track 8 is called Players, track 9 is Streamlining, 10 is Apprentices, and then 11 is The Past. Okay, so that's how the record ends.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's interesting, notice that, for this bit of the interview, we are streamlining. We do just have the 2 cameras, which is very meta.
Yep.
But we have characters, very distinct characters introduced, both the players and the apprentices. And in the song Players, the lyrics are, we're sorting it down and rolling it out. We're learning it all, leaving it all to chance. Is that the voice of the players?
Maybe it is.
Do you recall who or what the players are? Are the players you, because you're players?
Humans. I mean,
humans.
this. Yeah. I mean, a lot of this stuff is just humans and like human experience, like from my limited,
As a human,
yeah,
you experience humans.
I hadn't thought of it as like the group or anything.
Right.
Yeah. Again, like I did not deliberately write that lyric about the band.
About the band, yeah. So that's not what I didn't think that you did. I thought that it seems more like players, like in a play, like like the whole world is a stage kind of metaphor came to my mind.
Yeah, sure.
We're the play, like we're all the players.
I think that's okay.
And then, who are the apprentices then? In track 10, that's the one where
we could be, or we might be,
Okay, why is there this focus on the idea of the apprentice, and How does...
Again, it's a human thing. Like, what,
We're all learning.
What else is there outside of this existence?
Okay.
Like, are we just apprentices to like, is there some higher thing? Is there some higher truth?
Because Apprentices is the song where we're being invited to remember how to keep from running, remember to keep from throwing away what you've accomplished. That's how we're apprentices. Yeah, we're getting better through remembering we are always perhaps already on a trajectory if we allow ourselves to be.
One thing that I would probably say is that I get a lot of mileage out of each song where some of these lines come pretty rapid fire. Sure. But they might be addressing totally different things. Sure. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, so we could only be apprentices. Would you feel cheated? Like, when is there a reveal at the end? Like, what the fuck happens?
That's the impression that I get. That's
it's like, I don't want to say, I hate to say like the Matrix or something, but like we don't, we think we know what's going on and we're going about our day-to-day business and stuff, but like, what if there's some ulterior thing that we don't know about? What if there's, you know what I mean? Like,
I'm following you, I think.
Are there, higher truths above what we're even able to comprehend as people?
Yeah. So to me, it seemed that the players was not like.
No, it's not like it's not like a Shakespeare thing. It's not like us. It's not talking about theater. It's like for real. Like what's I guess as you said, all this world is a stage and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's not consciously Shakespearean, but what Shakespeare meant is that we're all actors. And we're all apprentices too. We're all learning, and then we have these moments, like in the same record. I was saying there's these moments where it feels, as skeptical as we are about grand narratives, there are these moments where it feels like we're in a play or we're in a movie. Are we in a movie? Are we in a radio show?
Yeah. See, you're man. You are like on point with this stuff. These are things that I think are inherently like. I don't know how to like. You're getting me to talk about it.
Good.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm very forceful. Yeah. And I'm streamlining because the reason I wanted to introduce the player characters and the apprentices is in relation to the streamlining that's going on, and you were already saying it's a little bit like there's a quite to me it seems like there's like a 1984 kind of vibe.
I think that's what's going on in that song. You said
about the Matrix.
I think
authoritarianism.
Yeah, like. You don't have choices. I mean, it's playing along with like what do we choose, what is just laid out for us.
Life is difficult and complicated and has these nuances, and sometimes it would be easier if someone came along and made it not be, and made things great.
Yeah, that streamlining song is definitely in a voice like the whole like. Dangerous. We're doing this to you.
Yeah, and we're fixing. So the lyric, although I think the lyric is we're fixing our opinions and preferences.
We're fixing your opinions and preferences. You think you know what you like, but that's just because we told you what to like, kind of thing.
Streamlining your routine.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Streamlining your. Yeah, it's you. It's this is being done to you.
Yeah, and you should like it.
You better, or it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't.
You're not. You don't have a say.
We're
it's that type of thing. Like.
So one of the original. Questions that's been grappled with throughout the record, it seems to me, is to do with living in the future or the past or establishing a good relationship with the present, and that happens in the song The Past, insofar as the lyrics are to be in the present and know you are, starting and stopping, and it continues. So it's almost as if, as much as it's about the past and the future as well, endings is, am I reading this correctly? Celebrating being in the present, and of course, like musically, like when the three of you work together, like
it almost sounds Buddhist.
Yeah,
but like that type of sentiment.
Yeah,
like I think is like, it's one of the themes that we play with, or that I play with in the vocals.
So. In a record that...
And again, not to be like... I didn't mean to throw the word Buddhist out there.
Yeah.
I'm just,
But, no, that kind of... So, the sense of flow, establishing flow, is that a Buddhist concept? Or
I don't pretend to know anything about Buddhism.
Yeah,
but being in the present,
a relationship, a healthy relationship with the present, and doing so collaboratively with the other people in the band is one way in which we can. It's almost like a metaphor for something that we can do as humans otherwise. So, how does it feel now that we've been going back to some of the themes, and especially the theme of streamlining, like the darker component, political component of streamlining, to going back to endings in our present, and to be encountering this kind of almost Buddhist, not consciously Buddhist, but this peaceful idea, and that comes through in the chanting when all three of you were chanting peacefully together. Yeah?
Awesome!
But
you are killing it, man.
But then, thank you. But then we began the interview by highlighting this kind of apocalyptic feel, and people know what the end of 2016, the beginning of 2017 is like. And people listening to this, hopefully there is a future, and people like watching or listening to this in the future will know what the end of 2016, the beginning of 2017 was like. So what's it like coming back to this record, perhaps now having been reminded of what the themes are, and with the idea of The Apprentice and the idea of like struggling to achieve being in the present, but this is our present. And already, even in the past, there was that kind of streamlining happening, and what's happening now. Like, what's it like coming back to this record, given what this record means?
It was really great, just like hearing it again. Actually, like it's weird. Like, you step away from music you made in the past, and you just put it on the shelf, and
you've heard it too many damn times,
exactly,
and you have to put it away.
Yeah, you're recording it, and then you're listening to it, and you're deciding like, what should be, the bass is too loud here, or
No, it's all perfect.
Well, you know what I mean. Like you're just like you dig in, and you're over analyzing everything, or just analyzing everything, and you need to step away from it, and then you don't come back to it. You just don't. You don't for a long time, and then like we needed to remaster this for vinyl. So we came back to this record and listened to it again, and it really breathes new life back into the record. For me it did.
So the remastering process breathes new life in.
Yeah, like this is. And it sounds different,
And the record speaks to our present, I think, in ways in which we were just hinting at.
Yeah, well,
for me, it was like, noticing things about this record that I maybe took for granted or didn't realize that now had become like my favorite parts of the record. And on a surface level, it's like, wow, we should play that song again. But it's more of like wow, like this holds up. And it's like, it's really hard to be objective about your own music, whether it was 2009 or whether it's 2016. Like, it's really hard to completely step away and listen to it as, out of body or however you want to look at it. Where, like, with endings, I feel pretty proud of like being able to put it out on vinyl and coming back and listening to it. Like I think every once in a while we talk about like, hey, like I was drinking a bunch of beers and put on like our whole discography and like listen to it at night or whatever, and it's
the whole marathon.
Yeah, and some of it like some of it's like and some of it's like wow, like that was...
you would probably like if you have people over, you're brewing or whatever you're doing, you'll probably be like, hey, we just put out endings on vinyl. You'll be like, check this out because it still sounds good.
Yeah.
Like we did okay.
It holds up.
Yeah. We didn't fail. It sounds okay.
Right. And then there's the whole musical component and the lyrical component, and then how
and the relationship between the musical and the lyrical.
Well, and then where
component.
we were at as people, I kind of think what you're getting into as where we were at as people, in not only in our musical journey, but as like where we're at, like what we were doing at that time, just
outside of the band.
Right. What our influences were, and where our inspiration's coming from.
Yeah.
So it's really like kind of interesting to come back to it and hear that again, and and not be bummed out.
Yeah, of course, yeah. And some of these songs, of course, you're going to play live in your set at Reverie on Friday, January 20th.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
You're going to play. It's not just.
But I don't think it's not that we don't love every song on the record, but I don't know that we would ever go back and play that record start to finish.
Yeah.
I don't know that works for us anymore.
We don't need to, because we did
on the record
when it first. Well, we as with every record, we tend to play it
the release show
front to back.
Yeah.
Also, kind of an interesting tidbit. I think this was the only record that we actually brought a fourth member up on stage, wasn't it?
Endings?
Were they there to play the Beatles chord?
Yeah, and then some of the like second guitar parts, and some of the
Adam.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
oh my god!
We brought this guy Adam Roddy. It was the only show I think we've ever played where we had a fourth guy up when we did our release show.
Because
we at a release show, but we have had a fourth member.
That's right.
One other show, Melanie.
Yep.
Came up and played with us for 2 songs or 3 songs.
Yeah, 3 songs.
Yeah, Melanie from Wizards Are Real.
Oh, cool.
She played sax on a couple songs. Do you know them at all? Okay, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that was more creating new parts instead of like trying to emulate parts that were recorded on the record.
Yeah, Adam came up and tried to emulate
synth parts.
Because in this case, you'd allowed yourself to depart from that Fugazi ethos.
Yeah. Right. So we were like,
you wanted that to translate into the live show.
Yeah.
And I think it worked. I think, I don't think we need to do it again.
This is going to be the trio version of
we didn't do it with
with
Fortress after that.
Yeah. And with all of the times you played the songs in the meantime.
Sure.
Right.
Right.
Or
and it's also, just logistics, as is life, just trying to get another
person up to speed
aspect of whatever you need to do. Like, you have to pick and choose your battles.
Yeah.
And what you have time to do and what, what's going to work and what you have, we would rather be tighter as a 3-piece than spend the time not rehearsing as a 3-piece to get somebody else up to speed.
Because that's what self-evident is. So you want it to still be like the self-evident show, even as it's a return to something that you did in the past. It's more important to be self-evident than it is to do the record as it sounds on the record.
Right.
Sure.
You were saying about picking and choosing, so let's close by with the emphasis on the show. And again, which bands did you pick and choose, and how did you pick and choose these bands to play this show?
Great went. Well, that's Brian's band.
Yeah, so our original drummer's band.
Nice. Yeah.
Which is
He's back.
awesome. And they're such a great band. They've really, like, in the last couple of years, really just, like, found themselves, I think.
They got something going on.
Whether they know it or not, I think for me, it's like they're a force.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And I saw Not From Here at like some really
Not From Here, who are from here.
Who are from here at some like really random show.
It was a co-op. It was the Seward, right?
The Seward with some friends of ours that were in town, called Tyranny is Tyranny. So I wanted to go see them, and just saw Not From Here, and it was just like, I don't know, like, I don't want this to sound disenchanted or anything, but like I think, the older I get, the tougher it is to impress me with like music. Like a band that really not only has their shit together but is like striking an emotional chord at the same time.
Yeah.
And they did
Conrad
both.
gets slower with age. The tempo of the band gets slower with age, and you get harder to impress with age.
Well, oh man, we sound like it's like Bilbo Baggins or something. Like I don't want any adventures.
Marmalade spread over.
I sound like these Tolkien characters.
But
It's only me that.
It's I don't know. It's tough, and you try not to lump bands in with other bands, and you try not to do this or do that, but it's not only just like the bands, but it's also like, as you get older, it's just physically going out that late and all these other things that, kids or like all this other stuff where, I think
you want it to be special and distinct.
Yeah, and we probably miss out on a lot of things, But
probably
but,
get
s-
a lot
but
of
seeing
good
that
experiences.
band like at that time, at that moment, like I, like there was like a real kind of emotional connection, which it's seems harder and harder to come by.
Yeah. Have you
know what I mean?
played on a bill with Not From Here?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
But this
Yeah.
is just going to be the
331.
second time that you have?
Yep.
Yeah,
This'll be
but
our,
the
yeah,
other
second
thing, I mean,
show with them.
that is the other dynamic about this show is that Not From Here performed on Great Went's LP
Oh, yeah.
with string arrangements they
Yeah.
added to it, and so I'm hoping
I heard that.
that they'll do it again
they might
live at this show.
collaborate
Like,
too.
yeah.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting because we end up playing with a lot of instrumental bands, and I don't know if that's by design necessarily, but like it seems like there's a lot of shows where we are the only band with vocals sometimes,
Right.
And it works.
Remember
and
to
I-
keep
the
from running
man
and to
yelling.
keep from throwing away what you've accomplished. Stay self-evident.
Yeah.
It's a good thing.
I think we always will.
As long as we can keep writing, I think that if we stop writing, we cease to exist.
Yeah. And you were just writing yesterday, and when I came in, I heard a fragment, an entirely new fragment of a song, and I'm sure you'll have some new material at the show as well as revisiting these old ones.
There is.
Yeah. There's going to be a lot of new
there's a
stuff.
new- yeah,
Mainly new
that's
stuff.
what-
High
yeah.
ratio of new stuff.
With local shows, it's always like, why don't you play some old shit? No, like
We'll do
it's
some
just-
old stuff.
Yeah,
We'll do some new
You
stuff.
could get that
Some
on the
makes-
vinyl. Buy the vinyl.
Yeah,
We'll do a mix.
yeah.
It's going to be a good
That's
mix.
true.
It's going to be a good mix.
We'll mix it up.
It's going to be a good show.
Yep.
And it has been a good interview. Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
For-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
Seriously.
You,
Thanks, Simon.
Appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, you're welcome. I've really enjoyed it. I hope that the listeners and viewers for the first time have as well. And throughout 2017, one thing to look forward to. Who knows what else 2017 has in store? Certainly, there's going to be some more Undercurrent, Back to the City video interviews. So look forward to that.
We'll
But
watch for those.
yeah, thank you. And I will watch and listen for Self-Evident and The Great Went and
Not From Here.
Not From Here at one last time at the Reverie on Friday, the 20th of January. So I've been Simon Calder. This is Self-Evident. And this is the first Back to the City on Undercurrent of the new year. Thank you for listening and viewing.